What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Nick over here at Project Central, and today we are going to start installing these leafs on the back of my XJ. These are some Chevy 63s, pulled off of a junkyard organ donor truck a while back. You know, I'm going to set this down because this is really heavy. We'll talk about it. Alright, if you are a keen-eyed observer, you would say, but Nick, you've already got your rear suspension on your Jeep finished. You've already got it four-linked. All you got to do is buy a pair of coilovers and bolt them in and they'll be good. Yes, but no. Yes, because I do have a four-link, as you can see here, but there's this thing called geometry that suspension likes, I guess. And I built all this without knowing what that is, what that was. I had no clue. I just put stuff where I thought it would go. That being said, it's all wrong. It needs to come off. And also, I'm simplifying it. I'm simplifying it by adding in a set of leaf springs instead of coilovers. I've got coilovers in the front. They're going to do perfect up there. You might be wondering, why go from a coilover setup to a leaf spring setup? Two things: cost and reliability. With a four link, you've got 4 bars, which is 8 rod ends, and a bunch of other moving parts. It can be very strong and very reliable, but it can also, more moving parts means more things that are prone to failure. So a leaf sprung vehicle has 2 leaves, has a leaf on each side, mount at the front and mount at the back. You got 4 spots. You make those real beefy and you can be very reliable. Less things to go wrong. But realistically, it's just the cost. A set of coilovers is going to be $1,200 to $1,500, and I can be all in for this swap for probably about $400. From Junkyard Leafs, I've got a set of U-bolt eliminators and a kit from Barnes 4-wheel drive. So with all that being said, a pair of like lifted like 4-inch shocks and stuff can really, this can just be a lot cheaper. So let's get a little bit more room to work under here, under this Jeep, and we're gonna raise it up a little bit on the lift and then get out the tools and start chopping. Alright, I think that's as high as we can go. Alright, this set of axles is out of a like an 05 or 06 F350 1-ton. So, Dana 60 front, Sterling 10.5 rear, and they are beefy. So we got the transmission jack over here, and we're going to try and get everything unbolted. The weight on the transmission jack, and roll the axle out of the way so that we can get chopping on stuff. Get all these brackets off of here. Okay. Woo! Alright, got the rear axle out without crushing myself, so that's great. Let's get the rest of these link bars out and then we'll talk about the frame. Alright, so I got the old links out. Those are going to go into storage. Might use those later. Give you a quick look at what I'm talking about here. Okay, so you see this one and this one. kind of hard to tell on this, but they're just way off. That neither one of them are really in line with each other. This one's pointed down at about a 10-degree angle, and this one's fairly flat. So we're gonna cut those off. We're gonna cut those off, and we're gonna try and figure out, we're gonna clean some of this welding up, because I did that a long time ago when I sucked. Unlike now, which I only suck a little bit less. So we're gonna cut all of this off, and hopefully it'll all work out just fine. Well, we got one side roughly cut off. We've got a lot to clean up here, right? We have got a ton to clean up. Then we got to move over here to this side. And then tomorrow, or next week or something, sometime this week, we're gonna finish getting these cut. Super quickly, let me show you where we're at here. Got all the frame brackets cut off both sides. We still have quite a bit of cleanup to do, and this piece is a piece I added, just a piece of angle to reinforce the frame. So we need to probably fill in some pieces here and maybe do some more pieces on the inside. I'm gonna, once I get done laying it out and figuring out exactly where the leaves are gonna go, I'll figure out if that is something I'm gonna do in this video or maybe do someplace extra. We do have a lot of cleaning up to do as far as welds, because when I welded this, I only used a stick welder and a little crappy wire welder. So a lot of this is real bad, real bad that I gotta clean up. So we're gonna be working on that in the future, but it's like 9 o'clock at night and I've made a big mess. So clean up a little bit, maybe, probably not, and then soon we'll jump back on getting all this cleaned up. Back up under the Jeep to get some of this stuff cleaned up. I know this doesn't feel like I'm making good progress, but it's a challenge sometimes, right? So if you've got a job and family and kids, sometimes it's quite a challenge to work on your projects, and this one's been neglected for so long. I was really hoping I could just jump in and things would go smoothly, but anyways, a lot of grinder dust. I did get this area cleaned up quite a bit from the last video. I worked on that last night. So I guess let's get grinding away. I'm not 100% sure exactly where the leaf spring hangers are going to go, so I'm going to get everything wire wheeled so that I have plenty of room, plenty of options, and we'll come back and check in here in a minute. So I'm sitting there grinding away or wire wheeling away on the Jeep, and I thought to myself, you're probably doing too much extra work. Let's figure out where the leaf springs need to go first before we really need to, figure out where to clean everything and add reinforcement stuff. Fortunately for me, we have a fairly stock Jeep Cherokee to take measurements off of. This is the one we are building for my oldest son. So let's get set up under here and we will take some measurements. Stock mount location is right outside of this frame frame. And then if we look up here, it is right outside of the frame up there as well. So that's kind of where it goes. Shouldn't be too hard to put the other mounts there. Let's go see what that looks like. Got the leaf spring, the shackle side about where I want it, I think. Turn this off. Is that better? Hopefully that clamp holds. Let's check that out. All right, so here is a very, very rough look at where I think the leaf springs are going to end up. I think it's going to be good ending it right there, right before the frame turns up. I think that's going to be a good spot. I am just going to put it directly below the frame. It's going to give me a little bit more lift, I think. I hope. Shackles in the back should give plenty of movement and travel. And most importantly, if you look at about where the center line of the axle is, and you go straight up, it's going to land right in the middle of my opening here. So all that being said, I think that's a fairly straightforward plan. I like it, I think. I don't have to do as much wire wheel work as I had originally thought. I'm just going to hang the rear shackle off the bumper. Front shackle is going to land right about there. All right, getting back at it. We've got this leaf spring mocked up, but what we really need to do is we really need to see how the tire is going to look in the wheel well. So I'm going to lower the lift down to about ride height, roughly, and we're going to get a quick peek at how the axle is going to be centered in the opening and what it's kind of going to look like. So let's let this thing down. Alright, so what tire and wheel combination are we using? These have been sitting in the backyard for a while, so they're kind of dirty, kind of weather checked pretty bad, but that's what we've got. These are Goodyear Wrangler MTR Kevlar stickies. These are some old race tires I bought used a long time ago, and they've kind of been sitting around on this build, but they're, 40 by 17 by 12 and a half, I think. They'll be good enough. So let's lower it down. Maybe a little more. Alright, got some options. I kind of really like how this is starting to look. Maybe push the tire back a little bit more. That's about where I think the tire needs to be as far as wheelbase goes. When I was first doing this, I had it pushed way too far back. My wheelbase was way too long. I'd stretch the front, stretch the rear. It was not right. Like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. But now, this is looking like it's getting pretty close. Let me show you a little bit closer what's going on in the back of this Jeep. Where if this isn't exactly perfect, let me show you how I think we can fix it, if we need to. So I think we've got a pretty good plan for the back leaf spring mounts and hangers. I do need to do some welding on the bench. As you see, this is the back. This is the pieces. This is what's going to hang off the bumper. And as you see, it's two pieces. It's going to be a lot easier to weld this on the bench. And I think I'm going to drill a hole in here so I can do maybe a couple rosette welds also, plug welds. And then on the front hangers, it's going to be like this. So this side is going to face forward. So if I do get caught up in anything, it will ramp over it. And they included this piece, so kind of the same deal. I'm going to weld these together on the welding bench. Probably drill a couple holes with the drill press for some rosette welds, just for a little extra something. And then finish cleaning up the back area of the Jeep, so that we can start burning all this stuff in. Pretty excited. Hope you're excited. I'm excited. My my welding bench is pretty messy, so I got to get that cleaned up, get all this prepped, weld these out, and then actually weld on the Jeep. pretty exciting stuff. Like I said. So I guess cue the time lapse and music and stuff. Also, as a creator, I want to know what you guys like. What type of music do you guys like on time lapses? Do you like? I know like Cletus uses the same song in every single time lapse. I think it's hilarious. But let me know what you guys want for music. I can do rock. I can do whatever you want. So let me know in the comment section. I'm gonna clean up after myself for a little bit. BRB. Alright, quick little update. Got everything ground down. Some of this stuff is real bad. I had some pieces I had tacked on there to kind of fill some gaps. Took those off. We're going to do some better ones because they were not good. As you can see, I blew through those welds a long time ago. So we're going to cover up all my old sins with new sins, apparently. Got a lot of this ground down. We're going to go over all these welds. I got a lot of this cleaned up in here so we can weld some reinforcements in. This is obviously just a piece of 4-inch tube that I'm using as a rear bumper. And I just need to beef up the connection points a little bit. These just kind of got stitch welded in. We're gonna go through all of that. And it's the same on this side. We're gonna make some plates to really fill in some of this stuff, I think. But anyways, that's what's up. Also, I did the same thing on this outside. Clean this up. We're gonna gusset this to kind of help prevent any bending, because that's just a piece of angle I cut. And then we're gonna like it's kind of the same thing on the inside. These are just stitched on the outside, so we're gonna burn these in a little bit better, because when I did this originally, all I was using was a stick welder, and well, that really sucked for this. So yeah, now I've got a decent old MIG welder, and we're gonna burn all this stuff in. So anyways, that's it for now. So we got all the frame cleaned up, unibody cleaned up, getting ready to prep for some welding. But first thing we're gonna do is clean off the workbench. We're gonna weld some of this stuff, right? So we talked about this earlier. This is the rear shackle hanger. Comes in 2 pieces. I got this from Barnes. 4-wheel drive again. That place is awesome. They sell all sorts of builder pieces. All right, I'm sure that this was just an issue with how they were bent, but I don't know if you can see that or not. The tube is not square to how it's bent. So we're going to do some grinding, square that up on the bench, get it all welded together. But first we got to clean the bench off because it's a disaster. And then we're going to do some welding, get these ready to weld onto the back of the Jeep. All right, I talked about these also. So these, we're going to drill some holes for some rosettes probably. And we got to get these put on so that we can weld them on to the front leaf spring hanger location. So let's get that knocked out. I say quick, but it might take a minute. And I've got this huge axle right in my way, so let's get to it. No one else is going to do it for you. So we got these cleaned up. So you can see it's better than it was. We'll have to hold it a little bit when we tack it. But this one's pretty good. They still look a little off, but they're actually pretty good in person. And then got these all cleaned up, ready to get burnt together. I got Clayton out here helping. Are you helping?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So having a little welding lesson tonight. Sometimes it's education by do as I say, not as I do. So, but we're gonna learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're learning every day. All right, let's get these buzzed together. Okay, the next day. We're back at it. We got our pieces welded up for our rear shackle hangers. Alright, they're nice and square. They look pretty good. They're going to go here on the back of the bumper. We're going to hang them as far back as we can. That is the goal, so that we get as much stretch as possible. So we're going to do a little bit of layout. So looking down these, they've got a slight kick out at the back. So to make sure our leaf springs aren't like pigeon-toed and they're straight, we'll have to do some measuring. Figure this out. May need to get out the laser. Here. Okay, so when you're doing layout, here, sit down over here. So when you're doing something, right, so say you're trying to find, so like right now I'm trying to find the middle of this Jeep. It's all kind of wonky. You can take a couple measurements, right? So see, it's starting to widen out a little bit here.
Yeah.
So this is 32 and a quarter. So what's half of 32 and a quarter?
Roughly around 16.
Roughly around 16.
Yeah.
It is 16 and an eighth.
Yeah.
Is the middle. Alright, because it's the same from there to there.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, and then we can come 34 roughly. So we'll make a mark here at 16 and 3/4. Measure from both sides. See, we're at 17.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a so we've got this mark and this mark.
Should be the same.
So that is the center line, right? So that's the center.
Mm-hmm.
So then take our laser here. Alright.
Right there.
See that?
Yep.
So we're on this front one here.
Yeah.
There's our front one and our back one. And then on this bumper here, come here, make a mark. And that's our center line of the bumper.
Ah.
See? So we've got a line straight down the middle. So the laser's pretty useful.
Yeah.
We've got the center line of the Jeep figured out. Made as a mark. See? Made as a mark with a silver streak. So we've got the center of the bumper marked. Now we just need to figure out how far from the center line the edge of the hangers have to go here in the rear. So that, my boy, is how you lay out the center of something. Useful in construction projects and automotive projects. Got to keep things square so it works right. Okay, so this line right here that I'm making,
Yeah.
that is where the outside of this needs to be. So about right there.
Where are we gonna weld this onto?
The front up there.
Oh.
We're gonna do these off the back first. So there's Okay.
Why are you using that?
So the magnet is going to help me get everything lined up. See how it's 90 degrees, right? So
Yeah.
I want to hold this at 90 degrees so I can, if it's not heavy enough. Then pick the old speed square here. Just make sure we're nice and square to that bumper. That looks good. Is your hood up, hood down?
Yep.
So we're just going to do a couple little tacks here on the front also. So that's on there solid enough where we can mock everything up. Okay, next step is going to be measuring how long. These are called Chevy 63s, but in reality, may I hold it on the outside of that bolt? In reality, they're only like 61 and 3/4 eye to eye. Well, there is the driver's side leaf put into place. I think it looks pretty good. We obviously still need to burn all that in. Everything's just tacked, but I like it. It should give a good amount of stretch. Like I said before, we still may have to rework this arch, this rear wheel opening, but let's go put this other side in, make sure they look right, and then we'll put some more welds down. As you can see, we got both leaf springs mounted up. Everything is just tacked in still. See? Just tacks. Barely holding on. So I'm going to blow all these apart. Right, because we still got our poly bushings in there. I don't want to melt those. I need to weld a little bit more into there. And then weld all of this out. Weld all of that out. Weld the fronts out. Do some more stitch welding on the sides. And everything I've got already cleaned up. We're going to just do some more welding tonight. So let's time lapse all of that right now. Whew, that was a lot of welding on the back end of the Jeep. I didn't get it all done, but let me show you what I did get done. So if you look, I got those burned in a little bit more. Actually, pretty much all the way. It's looking decent. both sides. Underneath there was all these stitch welds that just were not good. Like I said before, when I started this project and I did a lot of this, it was with a stick welder. If you believe that, you know, use what you got. Over the years, I've upgraded to a MIG welder, and I really like it. So there's the inside. Got some stitch welding done. Got the front burned in. We still have quite a bit of work to do. One of the things I think I'm going to do is I'm going to plate this. I'm going to make a, I don't know, maybe a diamond shaped plate to go right there on this side and the other side, and then that side, and then both of those. So, and I'm still trying to decide if I should fill all this in. I've got a bunch of 1/8 inch plate, and while I'm here, I might as well, right? I guess I can always do that later. We're going to be doing a ton of welding on this, and maybe I'll do that later. I don't know. We'll see. If you don't see it in this video, let me know in the comments if you think I should plate all of this. So like all of this on the bottom, I've already got a piece there where my old link mount was, and then like this on both sides. You can see the shiny stuff over there. So yesterday we ran a pretty good first pass over everything. Some second passes over some stuff that needs some gaps filled. As you do. If you know, you know. So today we're going to keep working on the rear suspension. We're going to cut some gusset plates. We've got a few spots in the frame that need reinforced. We're going to work on that. And then hopefully by the end of the evening we can start cutting brackets off of the old axle and figure out our U-bolt eliminator plates. Those are going to be pretty cool. I've never run those before, so I'm kind of excited to run those. I think I said that earlier. So let's get making some gussets. One thing I forgot to mention is that it is an absolutely perfect day in the shop. High of 70 today. Fall is here, everybody. So if you're not out working on your projects, maybe the weather is not as nice where you're at. But here, it is welding season. It is where the time of year where it's finally comfortable enough to put on all the, you know, PPE layers and still be comfortable and get a lot of welding done. So I'm excited about that. 70 degrees Fahrenheit, not that sure what that is in Celsius. I don't know, put it on the screen or something, but finally beautiful weather. We only get about a couple weeks of really nice weather a year here in Oklahoma, so I'm taking advantage of it. Okay, so let me show you what we've got going on here. This is bad. We're going to have to grind all this. I'm going to have to fill this in a little bit more right here. And then we're going to build a gusset plate that kind of goes right here. It's going to be about 2 inches by 3 inches. We'll make all this shiny so we have plenty of room to weld, or plenty of clean surface to weld to. And then that will really help reinforce this area, I think. I think that's the good idea. It's not going to hurt. And then eventually we're going to get this front weld done. With these blocks here, I'm going to have to wait to get it on its own weight to really burn this front end, but it'll be fine. So this first side is done. And when I did my frame stiffeners, quote unquote, I just used a piece of 3x3 angle down the middle section. And so being that it's angle, this inside, the inside here is just stock frame rail. Also quotes frame rail. So with that being said, I'm going to do these on the outside for now. On the inside, I am going to have to cut or make some sort of plate to really get these burned in. I'm going to have to reinforce that a little bit, I think, because if not, I'm just going to blow through the stock frame rails. So let's go do the other. I'm going to go do the other side real quick, and then when we come back, I will hopefully have thought of an idea on how I'm going to do the plates on the inside. I'll probably just cut. I've got some 1/8 inch. I can kind of stitch it in and do some rosettes, and then put these on over top of it. But pretty happy with how that is. I think it's really going to add a lot of strength if I ever get caught up on a rock or something, to keep this force to keep all the forces. I think it's going to work for twisting this way and front to back this way. Was this overkill? Was this too much? It's too much, just enough? Let me know what you think. I made me a little paper template, and basically that piece is going to go up in there, and we're going to plate that whole inside. So we got to get all of that area cleaned up. I'm going to drill some holes in this for some rosettes, also known as plug welds. And then that should help reinforce this area where the frame was not as great. Probably from bashing it on rocks a long time ago. We'll neither confirm nor deny if that happened, but it did. Let's go make another one. We've got our piece, our patch panel here put on. We're going to hit it all with a flap disc right quick, knock some of this down, put our gusset on right here, and then go do the other side, driver's side over there, and then we will come back after that, and I'll show you what's next. Well, both sides of the front leaf spring mounts are beefed up. I'm pretty happy with it, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm happy with it. It's better than nothing. Don't know if it was overkill, underkill, or what, but it's done. And next we move on to messing with the axle. So let's go take a look at that right quick. So here's the rear axle. It is a Sterling 10.5, matching matching rear from the Ford F350 that it was pulled out of. And I did some measuring. And these are going to get welded on. These are the bottom halves of the U-bolt eliminator kits. As you can see, they fit around the axle tube. But to get on the spring perches, they're going to have to come here. So we're going to have to cut out some of this truss, unfortunately. I really like this truss. My buddy Jared, I used to work for, cut this out on his plasma table a long time ago, and it's pretty nice. I like it a lot. But I know we're going to have some pinion angle, so these are going to get kind of put in probably at an angle, probably something like that. But that's another day's problem. I do think that we are going to be able to keep our towing mounts, the shock mounts, the front link mounts, the top link mounts. Those are all going to get cut off next. So not going to work on that tonight, but I am going to work on it right now. Looking here at this axle, we need to take a couple measurements on it. Right, we know our outside to outside of our leaf springs are 38 inches, and outside to outside of the rotor is 62 and 15/16. We're going to call that 63. Half of 63 is 31 and a half. The center line of the axle is basically going to be this weld seam right here. That is going to be this outside line. Right, it means we're going to have to cut part of this truss. We're going to have to cut these. We're going to cut these off, cut all this off, get all this stuff cut out of the way, make some cuts over here in this, get some of this cut up. Then it'll be a little bit easier to measure, I think, I hope. And we'll set some other stuff up. So let's do that. Last night I got all these old tabs cut off the axle, all these old brackets. Some worth saving, right? That's still usable. Other stuff, not as much. Axle's all cleaned up, looks pretty good. If I do say so, it is. There are some gouges I have to fix with the welder and flap wheel, but that's to be expected. Now let's do the major surgery of getting our anti-wrap U-bolt eliminator brackets notched into the truss and fit kind of where we want it to go, and we're just going to tack them in place in this video. I've still got cross member to build. That's going to be the next video, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. And that may or may not change the angle of the output angle of the transfer case. So don't want to set pinion angle just yet. I want to see where my cross member, what that winds up looking like before I really burn this in. So we're just going to kind of tack it in place, get it really close. But to do that, we got to notch this truss. So let's get that laid out. So this mark right here is the outside of the leaf spring. Outside of the leaf spring to the outside of our bracket is 4 inches. So come over here, make a mark at 4 inches. Take our speed square here, run that. Straight across like that. So we'll cut all of that out. Cut all of that out so that we can sink this down in there. As you can see, we have notched the truss. We've got this to where it fits okay. Came with a couple little nubs on it. I had to ground those away. A little bit better fitment. And we cut our bracket off of the back here that we were using for our tie down point. I cut those off pretty clean. We'll clean those up, put those back on wherever they fit, because I definitely want to run those, because this is definitely going to be a trailer queen. Most of the time, it'll still be street legal, but have to plan on towing it a lot. So tie down points on the axles are going to be key. We'll put those on later on in the future, but for now, I'm pretty stoked how this is coming out. I think it's looking pretty good. Measurements are pretty close. We will, once we get our pinion angle set, I think it'll be probably something like that. If I had to guess, I'm just guessing at this point, we'll make a little filler plate here, and we'll burn all of this in and all of this in, and on both sides, double shear and everything. So it'll be nice and rock solid. But for now, we're going to go to the other side, then we're going to pick up a little bit, and then we're going to sling this under the Jeep and see what it looks like. I'm pretty excited. So goal for tonight is to get maybe at least the back sitting on its own weight. Let's get after it. As you can see, got this axle mocked up into place. It was challenging with one person, and it wouldn't have been too bad, but the hose for the lift is right in the middle. So, I don't know. Might have to do something with that. But, one last thing we got to do for this video. Put some tires on it, put it on its own weight. Let's see what the ride height's kind of going to look like. And yeah, see what that does. We still have, as you can see, obviously here, this is not the right bolt. These came drilled for half-inch bolt, I think. These are half-inch, and it really needs like a 9/16. So I got to buy a 9/16 drill bit and drill that out. Probably put the factory Chevy bolts back in, because grade 8 hardware is expensive, and I'm cheap. So let's get the rear of this jacked up enough, at least to put the tires on. And again, we're running those 40s, so we might have to really lift it up a little bit. So we'll see what it looks like. Alright, do the other side right quick. Let this down a little bit more. So, this is where I leave you for this video. I'll show a couple quick glamour shots of how everything looks. Overall, I think the mounts look pretty good. After getting the weight of the vehicle on it, it is absolutely not enough leaf spring. So we will actually have to go back to the junkyard. Oh darn! Go find some junkyard parts and pull another set of leaves. These are just too soft. Too soft. Not enough arch. Again, they're stock leaf springs. They're longer. They're softer. Chevy, GMC, whatever. They make two different style leaf springs for these. One has 2 leaves and an overload. The other one has 3 leaves and an overload. I obviously got the one with the 2 leaves and the overload. So I'll have to go back down to the pull part sometime in the future and get another different set, which is fine, which is whatever. They're cheap. They're only like 15 bucks a set. Yeah, overall, I'm really happy. This turned out pretty good. Really good starting point for the back half of this build. The back half of the Jeep, the front part of the video series. You know what I mean. Whatever. Made a lot of progress in this video. It probably doesn't look like much on camera, but I've been working on this. This video's taking me about 2 weeks. So, next time on the channel, next time you see the Jeep on the channel, we're going to be working our way towards the front. Rear suspension is what it's going to be for us a little bit till, like I said, go make another junkyard run. Next up, we're going to build a custom cross member with some link brackets built into it so that we can build ourselves a better front long arm kit. And you'll see all that right here on this channel, so make sure to like and comment so that when my next video comes up, you're gonna see it, hopefully. So anyways, I appreciate you all for watching to the very end. Do what you always do, everybody. Go take care of one another, and I'll see you next time. Who's gonna clean this shop up? I guess it's gonna be me. Who made this mess? Oh, also me. Fun times. Thanks for watching. Bye.